Good morning and welcome to the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Chair Claire Hall presiding, Commissioners Katie Jacobson and Casey Miller also present, so we do have a quorum. We move to recognitions and proclamations. First off, we have three folks we're recognizing for service milestones. And the first is Jerry Ashard, celebrating 5 years with transit. Is Jerry here today?
All right, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry, will you just go stand on that wall and just wait till the other two, or take a picture?
We do a group picture. Jody, and I'm sorry, is it Pariah? From Health and Human Services? We'll make sure the pin and certificate get to her. And last, Giovanni Barbers, 15 years with the Sheriff's Office in Corrections.
Just by yourself.
Fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have recognition of our new employees and who's going to handle that. Of course, we know.
All right.
Mhm.
Moving on. Good morning. My name is Cody Larson. I am the Recruitment and Compensation Specialist for the county. I'll go ahead and introduce the new employees who were not able to make the tour this morning. We have Ian Almeida with the Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Patrol. I have Carissa Marshall, Health and Human Services, Certified Medical Assistant. Austin Medica, Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Patrol. Joseph Oberding with the Sheriff's Office, Background Investigator. Anthony Panasopoulos, Sheriff's Office, Animal Services Deputy. Patricia Wilson with Health and Human Services, Medico-Legal Death Investigator. And that's all the ones that I will be introducing, and then the rest will be introducing themselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. Shelby.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Shelby Knife. I am the program manager for disease reduction or disease prevention, harm reduction.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Stand up. Good to see you.
And you get to stand over there awkwardly too, over there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of a group.
You don't have to be awkward.
Hi, I'm Shane Leiter for Health and Human Services as their client service drivers for the adult behavioral health.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Lennon Pierce, the new finance director.
Well,
Hi, Len.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Araceli Guevara. I am the new bilingual case manager for the maternal, child, and family health.
welcome.
Wonderful.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Heisler. I'm the deflection program coordinator.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Eric Wood, and I've been hired as the Deputy District Attorney Position 1 over in the DA's office.
Welcome.
Awesome. Photo time.
Yeah, gonna call people in the back.
There we go. Good self-organization.
Call people. Thanks. Well, welcome aboard again, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you in 5 years when you get your own service pins and certificates. But certainly know that as commissioners, we have an open door policy. These are public meetings. Staff is welcome to attend as well as general public. So welcome to Team Lincoln County. We've got some important work ahead and glad to have you all as part of it. Okay, item B, who has this?
I do.
Echo Mountain Fire Recovery.
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs.
So 4 years ago, we had a fire, which I'm sure everyone knows is the Echo Mountain Fire that destroyed 300 homes in North Lincoln County. We had many people involved in that effort, especially during the fire. First and foremost was public safety. So thank you to everyone for the Sheriff's Office for that, emergency management, Red Cross, all of the people in that initial response. And then after that initial response, something called long-term recovery begins. This is not a term I'd ever heard before we had a fire. Now I know the term very intimately, but in the beginning, I had never heard this before. And what communities that had had fires before us had told me is, everyone initially comes in for that response. It's real busy. There's lots of activity, lots of people, and then that sort of fades away. And then you're left with a team that does this long-term recovery group, which is like both a sprint and a marathon at the same time. And so as I was thinking about, as I wrap up, today's my last meeting, things I just wanted to recognize a little bit. I really felt like while there's many people involved in the fire and certainly in the long-term recovery, there is one person I really wanted to recognize. So I lied to her and told her to come for something else on her agenda so I would get her here. And that person is Allison West. So if you would please come up.
Allison.
So for those of you that don't know, Allison has been running the Lincoln County Long-Term Recovery Group for, I don't even know how long you have been here, but I feel like you've been here forever with us doing this. So we have a little award for you. And it says for her outstanding work on Echo Mountain fire recovery efforts. And also I had to get you something else. And this says chaos coordinator. And it says someone who solves problems you never knew existed in ways that will blow your mind. See also ninja, rock star, and legend. So big thank you. Let's get a photo. There's the card. Yeah.
Show the passport.
The tall people. Thank you. Yes. Yep.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
For us to be able to spotlight this important work, and it was sometime in the first few weeks after the fire that I met a retired director of emergency management for the state. He told me something sobering, but we've risen to the challenge. That look at recovery as anywhere from a 2-year to a 10-year timeline. But we're a leader in this, and thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Thank you to all the long-term recovery team.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
if I may, great job, Katie and Allison. It's been a tough go, but your passion, just amazing. And the community is the better for it. So really, thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you.
We move on to adoption of the consent calendar. Are there any items that commissioners would like to hold or pull for individual discussion?
Commissioner Hall, it looked like Commissioner Miller wanted to pull, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
B3, H3, H5, and H7.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. I provided you guys a statement, or not really a statement, but just a request to you to contextualize why I think these items need to come back to us for discussion. If you want, I can go into the overview of the reasons for that, but
Let's just move them to discussion and discuss them there. Would that be all right?
yeah.
Discussion.
So just to be clear here, yeah, at a different meeting. I'm not talking about discussion today.
They're on the agenda for today, so you could move it to discussion today.
Well, could we at least start discussing today and then?
Yeah, I'm comfortable to have a discussion. So you guys want to move them down the agenda to discussion instead of a different meeting? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Each of these items?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that then.
So again, that was B3, H3. Sorry, H5 and H7.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar with the exception of the items that have been identified for discussion?
I would move so.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I'm voting aye as well.
Oh,
Okay, we have no public hearings. So the first decision and action item. is the first reading of ordinance 540, wildfire rebuild special property tax assessment. Council Kristen Yule will be presenting this, and we also have Assessor Joe Davidson with us. And we did discuss this at our prior meeting, so.
We did, Commissioners. Kristen Yule, County Council, would you like title only or full text of ordinance 540?
Title only.
Okay. Relating to wildfire rebuild special property tax assessments in unincorporated Lincoln County and declaring an emergency. So Commissioners, this came to you for a first reading several weeks ago. If you look in the document, the assessor's office made some recommended changes based on pretty much property tax rules. They're highlighted in red and strike through. So we're going to consider this another first reading of the ordinance with those changes. You want to add it?
Yeah, so I don't have the language in front of me. Sorry again. Joe Davidson, County Assessor. So there are two primary edits here to the original ordinance. This language in the ordinance was just almost carbon copy of what was in the bill to begin with.
Okay.
We discovered these flaws in our legislative review last year when this was on the table in the short session. However, since it is a local opt-in bill, it was determined that we could just clean this up at the county level for each county that was adopting. The first edit is regarding the references the specially assessed value that originally it said that equals the real market value of the destroyed homestead as shown on the tax statement. The tax statement doesn't have that detail. It doesn't have a breakdown of what the dwelling is versus the other improvements. And so we wanted to strike that out and just say the real market value of the destroyed homestead based on the tax statement. And then we have the individual segment level detail in our assessment records. So that's the first edit. The second one, there's actually a 3-part test once somebody is in the program, and we determine the new specially assessed value of their rebuilt homestead.
Okay.
There's the real market value of that homestead, which is the natural real market value that we adjust each year based on market activity. There's the new maximum specially assessed value, which is what they're actually taxed at, and that can grow 3% per year, just like other assessed value in the county. And there's a third aspect, a third test that was originally in this bill, that it could equal the specially assessed value as shown on the tax statement back in 2020. And so do you mind if I kind of draw this up?
Please do, yeah. And Ken, could you pull up that maybe and,
Pull up the document?
yeah, where the strike throughs are?
I don't think I
You
can.
can't?
I'll make it as wide as it'll get, but I don't think it's going to cover that. Oh, well, let's have a little bit of him. Somebody's in this program, you got the real market value, which we can adjust each year over time. That assessed value is set based on a percentage of the real market value, beginning maximum assessed value. That can grow 3% per year. So you're kind of looking at this. The lower of these two values on a regular property is what you're actually taxed on, what you're assessed at. This bill has a third aspect, a third test, which is the 2020 real market value of the homestead. And so that's a constant. And so at a certain point in time, if we're always looking at the lower of these three, it's going to cap out. It's not going to be able to grow in the future. So the suggestion in the bill is to remove this third test. It would make this property under this program similar to other properties, how they're assessed and taxed.
Got it, yeah.
Questions for Joe from the BOC?
No questions from
No.
me. Joe and I have talked about this many times, so I feel like my mind is wrapped around it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you,
Commissioner
Joe.
Miller?
No,
Okay.
appreciate that.
We'll bring this back for a second reading on February 22nd or February 19th.
Okay, very
Thank you.
good. Next up, we have resolutions adjusting the 24-25 adopted budget appropriations for the county. This will be presented by our administrator, Tim Johnson, and Assistant Finance Director, Deanna Gravel.
Actually, I'm going to bring up the what I call the budgeteers.
The
Okay,
budgeteers.
And this will be Lennon Pierce, our finance director, and Renee Card, who handles our budget. As if you recall, last meeting, we went through this process. So this is a follow-up to the last discussion that we, and presentation that we had. And if you have any discussions, items that you'd like to go over, we could do that now.
guess not.
Nobody? We're in good
Go ahead,
shape.
proceed.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank, Lennon comes relatively new, but I want to extend my thanks to Renee and Deanna for their help on this. It's quite an undertaking. And the growth of the county and its health are well identified within this document. So we appreciate it very, very much.
Yeah, I as well appreciate the staff report on this. Thank you.
And I appreciate it too.
As well, yeah.
You're very welcome, Commissioners.
All right, so are we ready for a motion to adopt this resolution or these resolutions?
Yes, I would
Okay.
make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second Commissioner Miller's motion.
Moved and seconded to adopt these motions. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have for review. Okay, we now have for review the proposed commissioner report form. We have discussed this previously, and we now have a document to look at and consider.
Yes. So commissioners, at the last meeting, one of the requests was for a link that could be provided to the meeting information. So the public, if they had a desire, they could actually go to that link and get more information on the meetings that were attended by commissioners. So that was really the only change to the form.
Okay,
I think
what?
Gail Lip is going to pull up the form.
Okay. Wasn't this originally discussion rather than consent? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Definitely have some more details, which I really appreciate, as we discussed last time.
Administrator Johnson, do you have something are you doing
Input?
a report on this?
Well,
or-
I
Yeah.
wanted, in case that, excuse me, in case that you wanted to, then we're here
Okay,
rather
great.
than on the dais with
I
you.
saw you just get in the seat. I didn't know if you had
okay.
anything to add, so.
Ready to go.
Okay, great.
Very good. Any questions for Administrator Johnson?
I don't have any questions. I feel like this form is, a good place to start. I think it
Mhm.
can be reviewed and modified over time.
Oh, sure.
The new person coming in to replace me, might have
Mhm.
ideas or things that they'd want to modify. So, I think this is a good place to start. I don't think it's maybe an end. I think it might be
Sure,
reiterated
sure.
over the years, but don't have any issues with it.
Would one of you like to make a motion then to adopt this form?
I'll make a motion to adopt the commissioner report form.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Council Ewell and Administrator Johnson. Now I believe we're going to make some folks in South County happy, I
Yes.
hope, with an order initiating proceedings to transfer jurisdiction over certain roads to the city of Yahats. And this again is something that we've discussed more than once over the past several months, and staff report from Council Ewell.
Thank you, commissioners. This has been something that's been in the works for over 20 years. So we've been working on the legalization of 804, and a portion of County Road 813, which is Ocean View Drive, is also going to be transferred in the process. So this came to you several months ago for the legalization.
Mhm.
So this is just the next step in the process, is a jurisdictional transfer. So if you approve initiating proceedings, we would have a public hearing on transfer of these roads to be set at a board meeting, which will probably be in about a month.
Okay.
Yep.
Questions, comments?
I hope
comfortable with it, let's
I
get
was
it
gonna-
going.
Yes, I was gonna say after 20 years, I would hope
Yeah,
there's not a lot
and-
of questions. So
And
Yeah.
as the old fossil and unofficial historian, I can recall actually back in the mid-70s when this was a really contentious issue in Yachats. I remember a newspaper photo of signs somebody had posted on their property, claiming that there was no legal status for 804 any longer. And also you could see the sign was riddled with buckshot. So this has been a contentious and very long issue, and it's I think it's nice to celebrate that apparently we're finally done.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
well, with that, I will make a motion to initiate proceedings to transfer jurisdiction over certain roads to the city of Yachats.
And I will second that motion, Commissioner Jacobson.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's approved. Yay. I'm a little giddy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, our planning director, Anno Husing, he's been in the thick of this for many, many years, so.
Yeah.
Rewarding to see.
Mhm,
Better late than never. We got there.
exactly.
Thank you, Otto.
Okay, now, we'll move to,
Grants?
yeah.
Yay.
Community and Economic Development Grants, again presented by Administrator Johnson.
And as Administrator, is Mr. Skidema joining you too today, or?
Paul, if you'd like to, or you want to wait for public comment?
I'll pop up in case there's any questions, but
Sure.
Tim's got most of this.
I'll get started here. Purpose of this report is on the approval of which should be the 24-25 fiscal year economic development grants. Within the context of that, we do this on an annual basis. Typically, it is been for $130,000 a year. This supports requests from local government, nonprofit organizations, and even private entities in the effort to create jobs, retain jobs, sustain and grow our economy. Now, it's broken down into two categories. First category is for $70,000, and that's what's called a standard grant. They're smaller in scale and serve a purpose across the county. And within the context of that 130,000, then there's $60,000 that is for a single project entitled an impact grant. You may recall last year that that grant was for broadband and went to Pioneer Telecommunications for work in south and east part of our county. The year previous to that, it went to Northwest Coastal Housing for significant work that they're doing out east of town on affordable housing. So they've gone to really positive, productive efforts going on in the county. This year, and as we have done on several occasions, the work is initially performed by the Economic Development Authority of Lincoln County, and they're kind of the intake of all of the grants, and they go through and scope those, review those for us, and give us a subsequent recommendation. There were 11 applications for a total of $118,086. And there was one grant submitted for the impact grant. And to that end, on page 2, we work through that. The organizations being recommended both by the EDA, LC, and ourselves are the City of Yachats, Central Coast Food Web. I want to come back to that because there's a real interesting story there. The ARC of Lincoln County, the Oregon Coast Community College, Lincoln City Chamber, the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts, the Yachats News, City of Walport, Master Gardeners, and then for the impact grant to Samaritan House for growth and expansion of not one, but two daycare facilities for a total of $124,000 out of the $130,000 allocated. I just want to go back to something that's interesting. You have previously, as a commission, supported the Central Coast Food Program, and that's been a real successful entrepreneurial element of our community and is growing quite well. In their, I guess I would say, appeal grant application, they were asking for specific, what I would call part of their commercial kitchen upgrades. And in that regard, they identified something that's near and dear to another policy that you've directed. So they were looking at trying to help candy manufacturers in the county grow. And as you know, this coming year, we have this new business model being deployed with the fair. And one of the satellite events that will be occurring will be Lincoln's chocolate competition. And that will be going on in Otter Rock area. And so this really provides an opportunity for entrepreneurs to participate on kind of two different ones, one on their production house, but also for their promotion. So that's a dynamic opportunity that just happened to align perfectly, I think, in the context of timing as all of this rolls out. As it pertains to policy implications, you have $6,000 remaining on this grant. And so you have a couple different options. You could be reallocating those grants for those that are not selected. That's one category. You can take and use that money also for the addition to those that were selected standard grants, or the third element is you don't have to appropriate anything and it can be rolled back into maybe next year's grant program. So those are the three different elements associated with that. You will approve those today, and we'll get out for grant disbursement and reporting and expedite this. I would tell you, and I think Paul appreciates it, we are well in advance of where we were last year, which helps, I think, in our way of dispersing. And why do I say that? Because the next grant program the county will be deploying will be its nonprofit social service grants, and we try to keep that emergency management and business and community and economic development grants far enough so that people don't trip across all three at the same time. With that, I'll turn it over to Paul Skydam and see if he has any input.
Yeah, just a couple comments. This is always one of the highlights of our year. Our records go back to showing us doing it for, I think, the last 17 years, doing this grant program.
That's about right.
And then the records just fall away. So we don't know
Paul,
past that.
do you have red there on your button? Should be red.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to work with the commissioners and county staff on this. And one of the things that we always do after we get past this, and then the next meeting when you approve the grants, is come back to meet with several of the commissioners and staff to kind of do a postmortem, because we always want to make this program better each year. And that's led to things like the impact grants. It's led to some changes in scoring that make a little bit more sense. This year we added there's some basic scoring that our board does, but then there's some bumps. So if it's, an impact grant is in a priority area, this year it was childcare, there's some score bumps. What was new this year was adding a score bump if a grant was in an unincorporated area of the county, just to kind of prioritize that.
Yeah, good.
So we're always trying to look for ways that we can do that. There's always more that we can do. And what we recommended Administrator Johnson adjusted some of the figures to get some things going, but we've had conversations along the way. So our board and our staff is in full support of that. So we can stand behind our recommendations to the county and the county's final recommendations, and we're excited about all these projects.
Okay. Commissioner feedback, comments or questions?
Today, wondering if we're going to dive into that surplus there. Any thoughts about that?
I'd like to get.
I mean,
that
I know
today,
you
if
do.
that's- if You're
Um,
okay with that?
No, thank you, Paul. And like you said, appreciate the bump for unincorporated. I think that's really, really great. Great innovation. Anything else you see coming down the pipeline for us, though, by the way, for the next variation?
Well, I mean, I think one challenge, and Administrator Johnson and I have talked about it, Commissioner Jacobson and I have talked about it, is the grant right now is restricted to municipalities and nonprofits. Private sector businesses can apply with a nonprofit as a fiscal agent.
Mm.
As nice as that sounds, that's really, a lot of our private sector businesses aren't used to thinking that way. So sometimes we're a little less heavy on the hardcore economic development than I'd like to see. And so I think we need to do some brainstorming and seeing how we can maybe catalyze that. And that might just be as simple as marketing and how to work with the fiscal agent or something like that. Because we do an annual, basically how to write a grant workshop for all of the applicants. And we see our staff's role is we're an advocate for the applicant. Our board's role is to be the scorekeeper and to really try to evaluate these things. But our job is to make the best applications possible to our board.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Administrator Johnson, could you read back in your report? You had those 3 options for kind of the surplus. I think maybe to have that discussion if we're in agreement
So
to
the
discuss
first
that.
one, these dollars could be reallocated for those grants not selected. Second would be to add to other selected standard grants. And third, not appropriated for this purpose and rolled into the grant for next year.
Thank you.
Okay, well, one option I see would be to give 3,000 each to the 2 groups that were not funded, but then I'd wonder if that would be a meaningful boost for their projects.
I would agree with you. I think that's a good approach. Yeah.
Would somebody like to put that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the community economic development grants as presented by staff, but with $3,000 each. Oh, to view the future in Eureka Cemetery. Thank you, Ken.
All right,
I'll second that motion.
further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Chair Hall, please,
Yes.
Mr. Skyno, before you go though, youth entrepreneurship program kicking off, just how do kids get involved and is there still a chance to sign up?
The class has already started.
Okay.
So this go round, no. Though anyone who's interested could contact the SBDC, but the coursework's done by the SBDC. We do some supporting coursework and videos, and then we run the final pitch event, which I think is going to be May 7th
In
Lincoln
May.
City. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely a great way to get kids excited. And I'm a firm believer in entrepreneurial thinking skills, whether you go into business or not.
Thank you for that. I tried to get my eye on it, but somehow dodged that one. I don't know how. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Well, of course not. We all voted yes. So we now move on to report number 7, RE project timelines for the animal shelter construction. Administrator Johnson.
Thank you. If Sheriff Shanks would like to join me up here, I'd be more than welcomed.
Adam Shanks, Sheriff, Lincoln County.
Good morning.
And if you could go to the photos, I'd be much obliged. And thank you very much. I don't know if those are able to be enlarged and if everybody can see them or not. We've come a long way in a relatively short period of time. And in the context of this, this project here is really taking off. And you get an indication of the size and scale in the next photograph, Ken. You apologize, I took these photographs. Yes, I could go out on the construction site.
So
but I
you're out
don't
there
want
again,
to-
aren't you?
Yeah, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to cause any problems with our insurance company, our risk managers, OSHA, the list goes on. But you get an idea, and let's see if we can't try to pinpoint this for you. You can see the framing, the wood framing work there of what will be the office complex itself, where it's the greeting area for people who will be coming to look at animals, but also for where all the work will be done. Then to your right of that, yeah, thanks, Ken, is a significant building that is where all the kennels will be at. Now, I grant you, the trusses are just getting ready to go up, and you'll see this thing is a true commercial building here within a matter of weeks. But you get an idea of the magnitude of this project. It's out over 6,000 square feet. On the right-hand side, where Ken has got the cursor, no, further to your right, Ken, yeah, right there. There will be an easement that will, and you have within your packet, for the sewer line. And this has been on a very elongated process that we've been working on since May. And that project is now coming to at least from a planning and engineering perspective, to conclusion. But it will go right through this and come right to the fence in the forefront, and will go out to a manhole in the street there on Dahl. And this is significant. And why do I say that? So let's go back to April, May of 2022. The reason why this site was selected was because the county would act as the leverage through this project to bring the sewer lines down into this industrial park area. And without that, this area in its land, its zone property, is basically sat void of any development. And this will now open this whole region up for new job creation and economic vitality. So kudos to all involved on the policy discussion and direction on this. Let's turn back now, if you can, just for a few moments to the timeline so that you can see where we're at. Oh, it's upside down. There we go. And I'd like to draw your attention to where it says on number 6, trusses, starting the 17th of this month, the truss work will begin. That's really important because as they go through that, then they give about 5 days in the building to allow it to dry, and then bar the doors down. Here we go. We're really in the interior work and going real quick at that particular point in time. Now that will take in electrical work, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. We'll start all the interior work that one would think when you walk into a commercial building, property building. And as such, would also be able to begin the process for the radiant heat in the kennels that will bring about what we think is one of the most creative and innovative ideas of utilizing radiant heat in a kennel rather than standardized heating, ventilation, and air conditioning overhead. Because this way we don't have to worry as much of the infiltration systems and disease that may be flowing through said type of system when the heat will be in the concrete where the animals are at anyway, right? You know, they're comfortable at floor level. So
Mold control as well as.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So it was a real creative and innovative idea. It has not been done in any animal shelter in Oregon at this point. So at least public run shelter. So we're very pleased by that. I think things will come together for the county in relatively short time. Now, remember, by the time this gets up, this is March, April, May, June, July, and we're looking at August. So, you say, well, Tim, why can't this get done sooner? Well, you're getting into the more intrinsic work, detailed work that goes into a building. Just to string the electrical lines along with those for communications, security, internet. It's a series of walls of spaghetti is what it'll look like. And it'll take some time to make sure that all that gets done and gets done correctly, because you want that done before you cover it with drywall. So that's kind of where it will slow for a little bit, but you'll be able to go out there and get a real good breadth of the size, scale, and scope here in short order. I'll turn it over to the sheriff if he has any questions.
Great, thank you. Again, Adam Shanks, Lincoln County Sheriff. I just wanted to take a minute, thank our teams that have been working on this project, our design and architectural teams, our contractors, and especially our Lincoln County team. It's taken a lot of resources to progress this project forward, which I think in the end will be a tremendous service that we're able to provide for our community. You heard County Administrator Johnson talk about the technology, innovation, creativity that's going into this building. I think it will certainly benefit the care that we can provide the animals that we care for while they're in our custody. And I really look forward to seeing the final project. As you know very well, I'm sure, government projects, construction projects, you get one chance to get it right. It's very hard to go back and make fixes in our line of work. So doing this right at the front end and putting the time and effort into it, I think will benefit us in the long run. Appreciate County Administrator Johnson's leadership and guidance through this project, and truly appreciate your support in moving this forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Questions, comments? Yeah.
Yeah, and also our integrated team to make this happen. Thank you, everyone. Just thought maybe Administrator Johnson, can you just speak very briefly about kind of the stimulus of this project in that area and how it's going to be a catalyst, and just highlight that?
Well, we're lucky enough to have the chamber director here from Walport, and I hate to put him on the place, but Tom Fulmer, if you could join us, we'd be much obliged. The opportunity that.
And yeah, because we haven't talked about this piece a whole lot.
Yeah, for coming to the meeting, Tom. Yeah.
And you brought flowers too, so.
They're not for you.
Okay.
Someone else.
Hi.
Go ahead, Tom.
What would you like me to address? I'm sorry.
Well, I think the community and that area and the development, how is this a good stimulus for everything that could happen there?
Oh, boy. I think there's several levels that could be considered, and Commissioner Tim touched on it. The sewer system alone that is being integrated to make this happen will open up that entire parcel for more commercial development. As he said, it's been sitting there void for quite some time. So I think that is significant. I think that the fact that it's now in South County will draw more attention from the entire county, particularly those up here north and in Lincoln City, to come visit, to see what it's all about, where the animals are being taken care of. And I think that alone just increases the traffic. I don't mean traffic in a negative way. I just mean the opportunity for people who, believe it or not, may have not spent any time in Waldport. They live in Otter Crest or Lincoln City, and they've gotten as far as Newport, and they haven't gone any further south. So I think the impact to the restaurants and the shops will be noticeable. We've had some discussions both with Tim and Heather about the Lincoln County Fair and some things that we have planned on July 3rd in Waldport. And I'll just say it's pet related. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. So we're excited about that. So I think there's a number of different levels and layers that really will have an impact on the community. And when I say the community, the chamber really focuses on Seal Rock, Waldport, North Yachats, and Tidewater. There's about 5,000 people in that area, which is what, 10% of the county population. So I think that impact for the residents, the folks that have vacation rentals, will be pretty significant.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, I think it does a lot. Yeah, just thinking about the number of people, like unique visits to the animal shelter now being in this area. It's great.
So let's just talk a little bit more. I'll defer to Paul Scatama, who works on recruitment of businesses, and step away from here for a moment. But if I could, just a couple items that we need to understand. The ability of the county, your direction, under your guidance, to go down there was the first major project that enabled us to understand what we were doing out there in a geotech analysis. And as you recall, we had to go down almost 30 feet before we hit buildable soils. Now, we learned a lot about that, and that is information that can be passed along to others that are going to be developing out there. So they look at their requirements for foundations and for footings and how to build, and we can share all that with them. Second element is that, yeah, certainly we're bringing water and we're bringing electricity into that area. I don't think you all recognize the magnitude of the work that we're doing with Southwest Water District in that area. This is the first time that the county itself has ever worked with Southwest on a project. So that's very unique. The second element is with Central Lincoln PUD, we're dropping in a transformer. And talking about creativity, kudos to everybody engaged on this, is that there is this conversation, as you know, as for a second phase. Now, I got to tell you, you got a big building there, and I think it's going to take a while for growth into that building. But when you do get to a second phase, what I think the creativity has been, and Adam knows this, is that the concerns have been expressed that maybe we should have had and should have now, understanding cost of and inflation, to buy and acquire a larger transformer so that when that second phase occurs, we're not spending money that we currently don't have. And so to that end, I don't know if you know how all this works in construction. You have to get permission from the utility. The utility has to then get subsequent permission from the federal government to be able to do that, because they cannot, under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, just go out and start selling transformers at oversized for every project. There's only so much that's allocated so that they have their utility plan set up. So in this particular case, they are willing to accommodate us in that effort. So I think that's yet another facet of this effort. Now, where do you go with this? You have direct, indirect jobs, retention of business and industry out there. You look at the environmental elements associated with building and construction. We know kitty corner from this site is that Central Coast Fire District has proposed the development of a station house at that location. So the other thing that's important, and again, I'll defer to Paul Skidema on this, is that all this property is out of a tsunami zone, which is really important in the context of commercial industrial zone property in our county, because so much is impacted. Recall that we went through almost 23, 24 sites in review, and we went through a matrix to look at each site based upon the framework of the policies of the county. This is how we arrived at this location. But we knew that when we did this, there would be the opportunity to leverage the infrastructure work that we were going to put into this project to then create the opportunity for expanded growth in our economy. And I think this is now starting to prove successful, and people are looking at that and saying, if the county made this kind of investment in this area, it's something maybe we ought to be participating in. So I think the best is yet to come. I'll stand away if Paul wants to join us here for the moment and talk about it.
Yeah, and while he's joining, if I could,
Yeah,
Chair and
please.
Commissioners, one last comment. You know, I'm here recognizing the team that's working on this, but I can't leave out both the city of Walport, the school district, who have been tremendous partners through this. Again, you heard County Administrator talk about the infrastructure underground work. You know, the sticks and the construction of the above ground building is what's exciting, but the amount of work that's gone in underground can't be overlooked, especially with the sewer line. The collaboration between all the partners involved in getting that to progress forward so we can make this project happen is very important. I just wanted to make sure that I recognize them as well as our utility companies who have done what Tim described. So
And Sheriff, could this ever be a place to co-locate two deputies? Potentially?
I think the design of it currently is to really focus on the animals and the care of animals in our community for our shelter employees. Is there space? Possibly. Is there a possibility to utilize that? Maybe. But first and foremost, we want to finish out this project, see what our do a assessment on what our needs are. Again, as you heard, there is a phase 2 that is more community facing resources. See how that looks. Again, properties and the space we have could have limitations, but I look at every resource that we have, and that's one thing that really looking at decentralizing services for the county has its positives and negatives. In this case, I think it's a positive that we're able to bring those services down to the south end of our county. Whether or not that benefits us from the patrol aspect, we'll find out in the future.
Right. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Skydema.
Yeah, just a couple quick things.
Yeah.
The Walport Industrial Park has been one of our strategic priorities for the last 4 years, but there has been that wall of the sewer and also road access for certain types of development. And I remember working with when Melissa Murphy was with Business Oregon, trying to see if there's ways there could be some Business Oregon dollars to bring the sewer in there, and it just didn't pan out. So the potential upside is huge. Buildable commercial lands in Lincoln County are rare and hard to come by, and we've got our eye on, I think, 4 different areas in the county that are kind of ripe for development. But this is absolutely awesome because this lets us kind of go back in and reprioritize what can be done there now with just the sewer without additional road infrastructure work, or what could be done if there was additional road infrastructure work, making it a truck route and things like that. So I'm just very excited that this is something that it's been a long time coming, and it's going to lead to some really interesting recruiting work.
Yeah, and good plug for Economic Development Alliance that if they're interested, you can guide them.
Having been through both the first and the second siting committee, as was Adam and several others in that process.
Yes.
I'm actually really glad, we ended up in Walport. I always thought Walport was a great spot. I know there's a lot of people that are sad to lose it out of Newport. I understand that. But as Paul just said, finding sites that had the right zoning, that were out of the tsunami zone, that was very important to me because I know our staff, I know the community, and I feel like the shelter had been in a tsunami zone as everyone was supposed to be going, up a hill to get out. People have rushed in to get the animals, and trying to find a spot that, was accessible to the public, like not having to drive 17 miles on a gravel road and, that kind of stuff. It was very challenging. And Walport just always had so much space up where we were building that it just seemed like kind of a win-win for the community. So really happy to see it going up, happy to see the above ground work, and we'll definitely try to join everybody for the ribbon cutting eventually. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Looking forward to
Yeah.
that. I'm sure we all are.
Commissioner Jacobson, I have to add that the space consultants, when I met with them, Administrator Johnson, I said, where are you staying? Oh, at the Holiday Inn Express in South Beach. And it's like, okay, do you realize there's a tsunami evacuation point, here at the Marine Studies Initiative and then under the bridge? But that's just a practical thing that's really important. And they hadn't thought of that. So.
Hey,
Thank
anything
you.
else, commissioners? Okay.
Not on this.
Thank you, team, and for the continued good work. And just like Commissioner Jacobson, I know I will, and I'm sure all of us will be looking forward to that ribbon cutting later this year.
Yes, we will.
All right, at this time, I would like to call a 5-minute recess and have us reconvene at 11 a.m.
Okay. Hey, thanks for that. Yeah. Tom, who are the flowers for? Oh, okay, good. Good. Good, man. Little moist, but okay. Thanks for highlighting that stuff, by the way. If I could pull myself together and actually have the conditioning to do the gravel, that would be. I don't know. What's the date on that again? The gravel, the blues, and they're still in it. The coast gravel, is that still integrated with the blues or are they separate? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. You gotta be careful with what you say. Okay. It's just a little hit or miss, isn't it? It can be pretty vicious. You, me, away. Right. Because you have. So, yeah.
Okay. It is 11:01 a.m. This is a continuation of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. And at this point, I believe we're at the point of taking up the items that were removed from the consent calendar. First item is the proposed advisory committee bylaws.
Commissioners, these are standard bylaws actually that were obtained from other counties. Some of our advisory bodies have bylaws, some don't. There's only a few that actually don't. So these are to supplement that and help guide the advisory bodies on rules and regulations of how they should conduct meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty standard.
Questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah,
Mr.
so
Miller.
great quick overview there. Somebody walk me through the incentive to generate this? I generally think it's a good idea. And I'd say my first thing I want to discuss is how we kind of interleave this with the current bylaws of the current existing committees and boards. Just something
I-
that,
So in that
I
case.
think it's actually in the
Commissioner
introduction. So if you read the purpose,
Mhm.
these bylaws shall supplement any current bylaws for the advisory bodies. If there is a conflict, these bylaws shall take precedence. Bylaws for any advisory body shall be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So if a committee has bylaws already, these would
Yeah.
supplement if there was a conflict, unless there's a statutory requirement that they would have to do this. Their bylaws that are currently already approved by the board
Yeah.
would take place. So only like the Fair Board has bylaws, behavioral health, public health, these committees all have bylaws. So this will help guide the committees, and if they want to update these to include more specific ones for their groups, that's fine. A lot of groups have done that.
Yeah.
But these are general ones that committees can use to operate, essentially, if you're an advisory board that's been appointed by the board.
Okay.
Is this-
yeah, one recommendation I would have is that we reach out to our advisory committees, let them know that this is up for deliberation and in motion, and maybe take our own inventory of those as well. Just something I'd like to see us do before implementing this completely, and then also just a little time to. And I would say, as a general theme for me on all of these items, is some more time to digest these proposals.
So-
But I generally like where it's going.
Commissioners,
Yeah.
I am recommending action today. If these want to be amended, they can be amended. What's going to happen is these are going to get distributed to all the advisory bodies. And then if they have recommendations, like from the executive team of the chair, they can propose it. But this is to help guide these bodies to make actually decisions during meetings.
So
Yeah, and frankly,
appreciate that.
frankly, we've had more than one incident of people conducting meetings or setting up meetings and not being aware of some of the basic kind of rules of procedure that we have to operate on. So I'm going to advocate, and I will vote to adopt these today. As with everything else we do, like the commissioner report form, it's always open to amendment and adjustment, but I'd feel much more comfortable if we acted today.
Commissioner Miller, I had a question in one of your comments, and I was trying to write down what you were saying as quickly as possible, and I kind of missed it. But you said something like beyond these bylaws, or like comparing these bylaws to our boards or something like that. And I'm sorry, I didn't write down what you were saying.
Yeah.
Could you kind of explain that a little bit?
Well, I think what I'd like to do is just kind of reverse this just a tad. Make sure that I'm taking a look at all of the bylaws for our advisory boards. It's a lot to do. But bring this to those advisory committees and request feedback from those advisory boards. I think largely this is solid, but that inclusive process of letting them know what's going on, I think would be a good nod to them. So,
Well, one
just
concern
wanted
I'll
to-
raise here is that I believe we have a lot of committees that meet monthly or bi-monthly, but don't we still have some that meet quarterly? So that's, if we don't act now.
yeah, and I wish I
that's
could certainly
kind of-
tell you my own
Yeah.
capture of that inventory. And as you don't understand it, and I don't understand it completely, and maybe Council Yule does. So I think that would
Yeah.
be inclusive way.
There's nothing about this I don't understand, Commissioner Miller.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say, how about, I mean, here's my just recommendation. We probably would still need to take a motion, but maybe adopt. I don't see anything in this that's, strikes out at me, seems pretty normal to me. But I appreciate your comment, Commissioner
Mhm.
Miller, about, getting input. So, adopt it and review in 6 months or something like that. There is some committees, I agree, that don't meet very regularly. So, but
Yep.
within 6 months' time, you should be able to get to most of them, I would think, and come back and make changes as needed.
So we can have PI
Like that
and LIP
strategy.
actually send out this to all advisory bodies,
Mhm.
and then they can provide feedback.
Can we add to the motion or the resolution that BOC will review this within 90 days?
I've added that to the
Okay,
notes. That we'll
great.
bring it back for.
Okay.
We need to get the discussion. We need to actually have people provide the feedback.
I would actually say 120 days. I just feel like 90 days, there's lots of transitioning happening right now. I feel like
There
90 days
is.
might be a little hard. Also, these are volunteers. And so I think to give them just like time to be thoughtful and not like, we need it back right now. I think that would just be helpful.
All
But
right.
maybe say 120 days. So.
All right. Thanks for meeting me somewhere there.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
like we may have consensus. Would somebody
Okay.
like to put it in the form of a motion?
I'll attempt it, and Commissioner Miller, if I get this off, and let me know, but I will make a motion adopting bylaws for Lincoln County advisory bodies with a amendment that this be reviewed again by the BOC in 120 days and direct staff to reach out for feedback to our advisory committees.
That sounds good. I'll second that one.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the proposed appointment of commissioner liaisons and designee. Commissioner Miller?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. First, let's see if there's a staff report. I'm sorry.
Please.
So commissioners, this was actually raised by Commissioner Miller for liaison commissioner,
It
which is
was.
in Chapter 7 of the Lincoln County Code. And so the liaison commissioner is defined in that chapter. We've also included, just for continuity of operations, we have, Commissioner Jacobson that's transitioning out. I've also added if there's an absence, vacancy, or disability with the county commissioner, that the chair, Claire Hall, would be able to designate certain duties for discontinuity of business operations. Any questions about that? And
No, that makes a lot of
can also be
sense to
changed
me.
by order too.
Yeah, and I know this is unusual, but I think it's justified given the uncertainty with this transition taking place.
Wait.
And
Commissioner Hall, what uncertainty?
Hmm?
What
well,
uncertainty?
we don't know who you and I are going to select as Katie's replacement, and we
Yes.
don't know when that person will be prepared to assume office.
Okay.
So what if we added a provision, I guess, that I will regularly bring this back to the board
For
to,
update.
for updates?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one for me, we really need to dive into the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, I'll jump up to item 3. This is not consistent with some of our union agreements that we already have. That's.
Can you elaborate on that, Commissioner Miller? I don't
Yeah, I mean, if
understand.
we look at WAPO, roads, LCDA, and sheriff, those are all, I believe those agreements define that the board is present.
Could I step
Uh,
in? So we have a past practice
Wait, hold on,
established.
hold on, please, Council Yule, just let me finish. And that is precisely the issue. I mean, I just don't know how even number 3 is possible here. So thank you. Go ahead.
Chair, can I go?
Yes,
Um,
Council, you will.
Yeah, so we have a past practice established with our labor agreements. And so if it was a matter, so note that it has to be a matter under the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners, where it would even come to the commissioners for our labor agreements. So first, it has to be a matter under the jurisdiction of the board. But we have an established past practice of just one commissioner as the representative who responds. And that's been established since 2009 when I've been here.
Yeah, and as long as I've been here as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And it seems inconsistent with our personnel rules, but again, Haven't had quite the time to totally dive into that one. That's just my read. So I would further like to discuss that and make sure that I'm looking at the county personnel rules, okay? Now, that's just item number 3. Looking back up to item number 1, yes, I did request that we discuss the liaison components. But I also think there should be some interaction with our M team about maybe who they want to be their commissioner designee. So, I mean, that's just one aspect of this that I would like to get some feedback from the management team. So it's just one of my concerns there, okay, Commissioner Hall. And then when we look at item number 2, I'm really trying to figure out how this one works with the ordinance, and also how Council Yule serves at the will of the board. She's not direct supervision under the administrator, so there's a number of things here that would certainly like more chance for myself to articulate, for us to discuss, but it seems problematic. So there's some initial thoughts.
Commissioner Jacobson, any feedback on this?
Sort of, well, let me back up.
And Commissioner Jacobson, I just historically,
I've recognized
Oh.
Commissioner Jacobson. If
Okay.
you would like to be recognized, Commissioner Miller, please speak. Make that
Okay.
request
All right.
first.
I think some of this is really important as there is a transition. My understanding is you're interviewing candidates, I think next week. That's the schedule. I don't see this as permanent. I see this as kind of important to have some continuity of operation sort of during that transitional period. So I think like a 30-day, well, maybe not 30 days, maybe a 45-day clause or something like that might be helpful on this. I do think having M-Team, in the future, look at, who they want or sort of what makes sense would be helpful. I think part of that also has to do with who's replacing me, because someone might come in with particular interest or skills or knowledge of a certain area where it might make sense for them to, be on the STIF committee or whatever, because they have a background in public transportation, just as an example. So, I think that this is a good temporary solution to the things. I don't think that this should be exercised on an ongoing nature forever. I see it as a temporary solution as there's a transition.
What if we added a provision saying that this expires perhaps 30 or 45 days after the new commissioner takes office? That would give them a little time at least to get up to speed, and we can take into account some of the things Commissioner Jacobson pointed out, whatever the skill set and interests of the new commissioner are.
can I
Yeah, of course.
talk now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I would absolutely love the new commissioner to actually take a look at this. And I mean, this is clearly integrated with our county administrator here. So county administrator, I mean, do you have thoughts on this? I mean,
I really don't,
You-
excuse me.
you don't.
I really don't have any because quite frankly, the ability to be able to understand what the next steps are still unknown until you do assign somebody. And there's a lot of things that will go on the next agenda items that you want to accomplish and achieve. So is this something at a 30 to 45 days after the new commissioner is brought on that this board could live with, and then as such transition to where you want to go accordingly after that transition period occurs?
I mean, Ordinance 517 says that we designate in writing, but this seems absolutely premature to me at this time. I mean, I think we've got Administrator Johnson here with us. We have an administrator. I don't understand the necessity.
If a vacancy occurs in that position, if a vacancy occurs in other key positions, this keeps us nimble to
Yeah.
be able to act.
But then we could come together as a board collectively and make that decision if that's necessary. I mean, we can we can have a Board of Commissioners meeting anytime we want.
That's true.
Commissioners, I would recommend at least a 60-day, just so the new commissioner can get in. And then you can, with the new commissioner, they can reevaluate and decide if they want to serve as a liaison commissioner, those duties can be assigned. But we do need to be able to operate. And there is a possibility that that individual could not start for 3 months. We don't know.
Chair Hall.
And again,
Okay.
I'm going to mention, and then I'll recognize Commissioner Jacobson and Commissioner Miller, but again, these liaison positions, for instance, our relationship with the city, even if one person is designated as the lead liaison, that doesn't stop the other two commissioners from interacting with them, working with them on projects, that sort of thing. It just establishes an initial point of contact.
And that's on the other one we're going to discuss next,
Mhm.
trying to keep it to this one.
Yes.
Okay. Chair Hall, so to your comment, Commissioner Miller, and I had to kind of wait in line. So a few comments back about, wanting the board to come together and work through this. I think you're still going to need to do that. 100%. I think with the new commissioner on board, I think you're absolutely still going to need to do that. And come together and work through some of this. So I don't think that this takes away the need for that discussion. I think that discussion is absolutely gonna take place. I think I initially said 30 days, but kind of thinking about the timeline and when you're interviewing someone and Ms. Yule is correct. If they have a career and a job, they might need to give 2 weeks or something like that. So 30 days is probably a little bit too tight, maybe 45 or 60 days to make sure they're, in office. But I think that discussion, and I would even say, maybe like a work session and then decision making later is probably what would need to happen, relatively soon after they get on board. So I don't think that this takes away the need for that discussion at all. I think that absolutely needs to happen.
Okay. Commissioner Miller.
I would like the discussion to be expedited as soon as possible. I hear what you're saying, but again, I guess I just disagree. I don't see the necessity of it, especially as written here, that needs to be passed today at this time.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion with, well, let me start over. Let me start
Okay.
my motion over. I'm going to make a motion appointing Claire Hall as liaison commissioner for the appointed directors and other duties pursuant to LCC 7205 7.245 with a 50-day limit from the state.
I'm going to abstain on a vote on
Okay,
this.
I will second the motion then. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions or do you wish to be recorded as abstaining, Commissioner
Yes,
Miller?
thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I just want to make sure. Okay.
All right.
And I believe we're on to H5. Again, this, I think, flows from the previous item that I really believe this is necessary, given the transitions we're facing. And of course, I wouldn't want to, and I don't think there would be any need for me to keep all those rules permanently, but it's a tradition in a lot of legislative bodies, including our own Oregon legislature, that generally the presiding officer, the Senate president or Speaker of the House, makes committee appointments. Okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, yeah. So here, yeah, I see some logistical issues. I think the idea that the three of us divide and conquer, if you will, and be representatives to our committees and boards, but also our cities and the tribe. Historically, we had joint sessions, which I think would be great to entertain and bring those back. We used to meet as a board, which each of these jurisdictions, then there was a point in time where we sent individuals to designated areas. But again, we never really vetted that, if you will. I think very thoroughly. Maybe we should bring back the joint sessions. Good question to those jurisdictions too. I mean, what worked for you? What was good about that? I think would be in order as well. So there's just some preliminary thoughts. This is also not a complete picture of every possible relationship here. It captures some of them. So again, I want to bring this one back and here maybe even a less of a threshold for Commissioner Jacobson's replacement in terms of getting up to speed. I think this is a little bit more generalized than compared to our code and ordinance 517. So yeah, again, I don't see anything terribly wrong with how things are going now, other than just making sure that we're actually getting around.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I do the best that I can, and I know you as well to be present.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Well, I guess I would like to share my thoughts. That's all right.
Okay.
Chair
Sure,
Hall,
of
a couple
course.
things. One is I absolutely agree that division on committees is needed. It's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And I think when we're all working as hard as we can, there's always somebody that feels left out or that we didn't get to the meeting or whatever. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff. I do think that kind of overall picture or review of committee needs to take place. There's other ones, you know, on here of mine that aren't here. A lot of the ones I'm on right now, the county is a non-voting member, so it's not like an emergency to not have someone go to those because we don't represent a quorum problem. We also wouldn't be like a swing vote because again, they're non-voting. I don't like this. I'm just going to be honest. I don't like it. I understand that part of it is, you know, maybe needed for transition purposes and stuff like that. But you know, even for 60 days or something like that, I feel like a lot of these committees, cities, et cetera, just no offense to you, Commissioner Hall, but I just don't
None
see how
taken.
one person can do this, even in an interim. And even though, you know, this says that you can, you know, designate other commissioners to serve in her place, that designation isn't taking place. So I think about a lot of these committees that, you know, I work with or have worked with, and I just feel like in that interim space, you know, they're going to suffer a little bit. I agree with Commissioner Miller. While it's not really part of this, I agree with Commissioner Miller about that revisiting at some point. Joint meetings, I think, is important. We did that. It had pros and cons. We try to break up cities. That has pros and cons as well. There might be another way to do it too. And I think talk to cities as well. I would suggest that maybe we just do like a committee shuffle freeze for a while and just leave that, you know, the way it is, not reallocate mine, not switch any more up and wait till the new person get here to then do that. That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner
Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Hall. And Commissioner Jacobson, your sort of inventory too of what you've been doing.
Which
and-
Geneva does have that
Does
inventory,
she?
so she's got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be greatly helpful.
All right. Further discussion? Do we have a motion of any kind?
Could we move on to the other one and maybe I'll think about a possible motion in my head as we do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
The last item on this list is the Lincoln County Public Comment Rules, which are proposed for adoption. Council Ewell, any briefing on how these evolved? and
So most of these were
Right.
obtained by PIO LIP, who obtained them mostly from the city of Newport. We use some other jurisdictions, but they're pretty standard for public entities for rules on public comment.
Okay. Commissioner Miller?
Shall I?
you wanna
Thank you.
weigh
Yeah,
in?
yeah, overall, pretty good. Thank you, Mr. Lip, for doing the work on this. You know, we look back at like the FEMA hearing and, you know, there were a lot of people there.
Mhm.
So I think the number of 10 is probably a little short for what potentially can happen. I think there are some times when we possibly might see more than 10 people come in and address the board. So that's just one thing that stands out for me. Otherwise, I think a lot of it looks pretty good. You know, and in all my years here with you, probably 700 commissioner meetings, uh, it is difficult sometimes for us when we feel that constituents come in and they just don't always seem to understand our policies, our jurisdictional authority on issues. I guess for me, I've sort of wanted to have more opportunities for conversation. And what I kind of feel like here too is that it should be a choice of the board really to ask a given constituent questions if we want to as individual commissioners, and just consolidating it all at the chair's authority, I think is just a little narrow. Again, I want the community to feel like they are included in the process, that we are an integrated whole with our community. And the board needs to have that agency to let those people speak. So that's one aspect there of what concerns me.
Okay. I'd like to make a couple of comments. I've noted in following news coverage from across the country of local governments that many cities, counties, school boards have tightened their public comment rules in large part to try and make sure that people have an opportunity to address us, but in a civil way. I'm thinking back a few years ago when we had one constituent before us who basically called for people to inflict bodily harm on us, and the entire audience at the time,
I was here for that.
yeah, applauded. And, you know, again, anybody can submit a written public comment. Those are permanently posted with the week's meeting, and in some ways, I think written comment can have a greater impact.
Yeah, well, the written comment too,
Mhm.
you know, one of the things we might look at is creating some fields potentially on those comment forms that could kind of help direct the thinking of the submitters so they could see what might be most useful for us to take in, right? Could be tremendously helpful, and maybe cue them to see what is under our authority. But of course, I think we always want this board to just be open in general to the community, no matter where they're at, you know, meeting them where they truly are at, even if they don't understand those things, and that we show that desire to help problem solve, even the times that it's not within our authority. You know, I feel like when we have constituents call us, my years as a PIO too, and as a county commissioner, I want that person to understand that we're going to try to figure out if it's within our abilities, but if not, showing that what we want to do is help them find a solution, whatever it might be, you know, and that is time consuming sometimes, but I do think if that's the spirit of leadership, and I just want to make sure that we're capturing that. We scroll through our written input. But there's not really always an indicator that we've really deeply looked at that. You know, we kind of just flash on it. And the presumption is that we have, but maybe we could have some sort of more of a deeper indicator that we've looked at the subject matter that they're expressing. I mean, in regard to written.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Yeah, two things. One comment, replying back to what Commissioner Miller said, and then one actually on the order here. I think that written comment should be looked at. When I was chair, I always try to sort of assign who was getting back to that, because Commissioner
Yeah.
Miller's right. It kind of comes in, it's like, who's doing this? And sometimes that person hears from 3 people and sometimes they hear from not one. So I think who is actually responding back to written comment. I will also say that staff does a great job of doing that as well. So don't want to,
Yes.
say that no one ever
Of
responds.
course, yeah.
I think to the public comment rules, I agree with Commissioner Hall. I was in that meeting several years ago, as well as some other ones. This to me is very similar to the city of Newport's and some others. I think we're maybe a little bit behind. I also think we would all agree that the, political climate has changed in recent years. And unfortunately, I think something like this is needed. I will say that I do agree with Commissioner Miller in removing the limiting to 10 people. I think about our recent, FEMA meeting, granted that was a hearing. And so I would want to remove that, limit it to 10 people.
What if we added a chair's discretion? I mean, like the FEMA discussion, clearly, we did need to hear from all of those folks, but, sometimes comment is repetitive, aggressive, even hostile. And yeah, we're elected and we sit up here and we take the heat, but at
Yeah.
the same time, to me, the bottom line is one thing, civility.
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes, Council Yule.
So I could add, so it's for regular meetings that you would have 10 people, and that's just to move your agenda along. If you had a special hearing, we were required because it was a public hearing to hear from everyone. But in, Robert's Rules of Order, you just have the chair would be designated if it's a special hearing to allow for more individuals to testify. So
Okay,
I could
that's good to
amend
know.
that.
That seems
Yeah.
reasonable
I
to
would
me.
still, I would still take the 10 people out of regular comment. There's things that aren't hearings like short-term rentals and stuff.
Oh,
where
yeah.
There's certainly
Okay.
more than 10 people that come to that, so.
Chair Hall.
Yes.
So,
Commissioner Miller.
and a question possibly for Mr. Lip. Do you think there's any way we could have them check off they've reviewed the constituent input guidelines on their submission in a way? I mean,
That's a great idea.
what could be a way to cue them to really think about how we want a productive discussion and that, they're aware of it? An idea. I'm not saying we put a robot CAPTCHA there, but
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Lip.
I'm not an expert with Smartsheet, so for me to do the mechanics of it, it would have to change to our website's form feature, but yes, we can do just about any field that we want to there.
okay. An idea to look
I
into.
think that's a great idea because the rules are great, but if you don't read them before you make public
Right.
comment, then kind of what's the point? We also clearly could have them out where people sign in and maybe even read them at certain meetings. That might be helpful as well. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe cue them before it starts, right? Remind them that these are the ground rules for productive conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a motion for me. If you
Oh,
give me just a minute
okay,
to write it. Yeah.
certainly.
please do.
About that. All right. All right. I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the Lincoln County public comment rules with the exception of removing the maximum of 10 people from section 4. And also that we direct staff to create some type of acknowledgement of this form for constituents to see before they give public comment or written comment.
Well done. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I believe that concludes our action and discussion items. We now,
Commissioner Hall.
yes.
I don't think we ever really resolved.
Go
the
back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you wanted to,
3.
you wanted to shape something there, you said?
Oh, H5, sorry.
H5. Yeah.
H5. H5 didn't have a lot of mental space as we were talking about the next thing to try to
Understood.
come up with the motion. So trying to multitask. The only thing I could really suggest at this time without a lot of time to think about it is maybe just making, and I'm not making a motion right now. I'm putting it out for discussion. An idea just to freeze changing or reassigning committees and that kind of stuff for maybe the same, which was 50 days for the other one until the new commissioner comes on board and those can be talked about.
Council Yule.
Commissioners, the only thing I would ask is, since it's internal county, these aren't statewide groups, is the wellness committee and the management team. That Chair Hall would be appointed to both of those.
I mean, I'm just not comfortable moving forward with this one at this time, so.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion, Commissioner Jacobson? Or are you putting it in a form? Now, okay.
Okay, hang on. Little mental space
Sure.
here needed. So Commissioner, or sorry, hang on, let me pause. Let me think for just a minute if that's okay here.
Of course.
So HR director manages the wellness team and really the M team. And this is a request from Human Resources that Chair Hall would serve just as those representative.
Wait.
And that could be looked
Commissioner,
at.
Council Yule.
Hold on. So that could be looked at in 90 days when if we do have a new commissioner. But those two were requested by Human Resources.
Sorry.
Commissioner Miller.
Yeah,
and
what do you
Commissioner
mean by
Jacobson.
HR manages the M team?
David has been coordinating M team agendas and it's pretty standard trainings.
Okay.
It's a function of Human Resources.
But I thought that those were consensual meetings that the leader of the agenda rotates with each meeting, so, right?
But Mr.
It's-
Collier is providing the staff support to those folks who are rotating through the chair position.
Okay. For just information sharing,
Agenda setting.
agenda setting, okay.
And timing on the agenda, so on and so forth. Making sure that information is disseminated to at least the members of the management team, so they have that.
Yes. Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna make an attempt here.
All right.
I make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Hall to the Wellness Committee and the Management Team for 50 days to be reviewed after that time.
Is there a second?
I do not second that at this
I
time.
will second the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay,
Any abstentions?
Commissioner Miller.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for at least moving these into discussion. Appreciate it.
Okay, do we have any staff reports? Okay, we're now going to move on to commissioner reports. And on Saturday, Administrator Johnson and I attended the Senator Jeff Merkley, Congresswoman Val Hoyle Town Hall in Newport. I would describe it as a very spirited event. You know, in my experience, most of these congressional town halls draw maybe 30 to 50 people. The crowd for this one at the OCCC main campus was 400 or more. Now, before this forum, Mr. Johnson asked our other elected officials and staff managers to put together documentation of how the proposed freezes, cutbacks, and withholding of funds could potentially impact county services. Now, I want to emphasize very little certain right now. I don't want to unduly alarm anybody, but I think also that we need to let our constituents know, to the best of our knowledge, what's potentially at stake. So, what does this mean for our bottom line? The best estimate from that information is we would be looking at a hit in the neighborhood of $20 million. And this would absolutely mean severe reductions across the board. Our Health and Human Services programs would be the hardest hit. Nearly a third of our health center clients are covered through Medicaid. And it extends far beyond that to law enforcement. I was disturbed to learn that $2 million for the sheriff's badly needed radio system upgrade could be at stake. And that, again, the reminder that 6 positions in the district attorney's office, child support enforcement, victims assistance, are also dependent on $250,000 in federal pass-through funds as well. Senator Merkley, Congresswoman Hoyle said they would do everything in their power to block these cuts. She encouraged people who share their concerns to keep writing emails and letters and making phone calls. You know, I'm just going to predict right now that the magnitude of these potential reductions is likely going to be a main factor to consider as we shape the 25-26 budget. I'm sure that all our leadership will be looking for creative ways to cushion the impacts of these cuts if they materialize. Also, I'll remind everybody we do have a rainy day reserve fund, but I don't see it as being nearly large enough to backfill cuts of this magnitude and not on a long-term basis. Again, I think it's important that we convey the best timely and accurate information about potential changes to county service. And one other thing I'm going to note, I don't think I can say much more, but I'm really sad we're losing an outstanding commissioner and public servant, but I just know she's going to continue making her mark in the community in other ways.
Yeah. Woo, not me.
Okay. Yeah, how's that for a lead into your planning commissioner?
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I get to give my report. Mostly my report was just again saying thank you. It's been 6 years. I was going back and looking at photos and my youngest, who's now 10 and a half, was in diapers when I ran for office many years ago. So feels like it's been really slow and really fast at the same time. I was looking at the exit interview questions and one of them was, well, did your role turn out as expected? And I just started laughing and I was like, well, I didn't expect a worldwide pandemic in the first, year and a half of being here. Certainly that was unexpected, but definitely a big thank you to all the partners, the staff, M team, and many others. Really enjoyed working with Commissioner Hunt and Hall and Miller. Lots of changes in the county since I've been here. When I started, I was sworn in with our new treasurer, Jane Welsh, who was here earlier. I think she's gone now. Been through 2 public works directors, 3 finance directors, if I can count Lennon, still being here when I'm here. 2/3 health and human services director, because we had the 2 Rebeccas, 2 HR directors, sort of 2 county administrators, because Wayne, while not completely a county administrator, was sort of in that role.
Had the portfolio,
Yeah,
but
had
not
the
title.
portfolio, not the title. Yep. 2 sheriffs, 3 DAs, 2 clerks, and many other changes. COVID-19, wildfire, short-term rentals, spray bill. And as best I can guess, I might be wrong on this, but I think I declared 4 emergencies. 2 for the fire, 1 for the actual fire, 1 for the debris the fire created, 1 for COVID-19, which Commissioner Hall posted on her Facebook page today. The one day I wore overalls to the office happened to be the day that I needed to declare that emergency, and 1 for the ice storm last year that Commissioner Miller and I did in this room with my guinea pig polka dot at my feet so she wouldn't freeze to death. True story. Lots of budget growth in the county through that time, both in the general fund and in the overall budget. Animal shelter construction, starting the fairgrounds, the winter shelter, rebranding federal qualified health centers, many housing projects that the county was involved in, and just so many other good things that have happened here. And really appreciated both Commissioner Hall and Miller. Both of you were extremely welcoming to me when I first came here from the county. Knew both of you from my previous role. Commissioner Miller was the PIO at the time, but just really appreciated that. For the first 2 or 3 months I was here, I actually didn't have an office. I was holed up in the old, which is now Brian's office, the old kind of meeting room because there was a water leak in Terry's office. And so someone just kind of like gave me this metal chair and threw me in the corner. And Casey was so sweet. He came in and was like, would you like an actual chair? And how about some office supplies, and, some stuff to actually do your job, which was really helpful. So just a big thank you to everyone. I'll certainly miss you. And, I'm still remaining in the community to hope to run into all of you. So thank you.
Yeah, you and I used to enjoy periodically lunching with each other. And while I'm really sad about this, that one of the good things is we'll now be able to have lunch together again.
We can talk to each other. So.
Commissioner Miller, I'd like to recognize you now for
Yeah.
your report.
Well, thank you. I want to make some comments about Commissioner Jacobson. Yeah, I remember scrambling to just get your name on your door and
Right, yep.
feeling so self-conscious that it just, you know, that it was a temporary printed piece of paper, but, you know, over the years of being a staff person here in this office, you go through that anticipation through election season, wondering who, you know, might be your new boss. And when you showed up, I mean, it was fantastic. And your critical thinking skills, your decisiveness is something that I just admire so much. And yeah, I'll never forget when we shot that video of you in COVID and you just rose to the challenge just so effortlessly. And I remember feeling so much confidence that when you spoke on that video, I thought, man, how did she do that? You know, how did it just come out like that? I mean, she is making a strong statement on behalf of this community. And, you know, I knew that we were in good hands. So really am going to miss you.
Thank you.
Really,
I'll miss you. as
really
well.
am. And are we have any formal sort of party planned?
There is a little gathering, but I don't really want to say that because there's not like enough food and everybody for the
Okay.
public. I kind of wanted a very quiet little send off on my last day. So,
Okay,
yeah.
because sometimes
Yeah.
we've obviously done stuff in this room. Is
Yeah.
that planned or no?
I'll have staff send you a note. Like I said, I don't want the whole public to know because
Okay.
the food bill's on me personally. So I'll make sure you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
Mhm.
And Commissioner Miller, your report?
No, I have no reports today.
Okay. We move to public comment then. Mr. Lip, can you summarize for us the written public comment that's been submitted so far?
We have, Chair, we have several comments that concern the pending commissioner vacancy appointment. We have one that concerns Brian Booth State Park. We have one that, if you'll permit me, I would like to read it, but actually let me see if I see that Meg Reed is raising her hand, so I don't have to do it. Meg, I'm going to allow you to talk.
Great, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we hear
Yes,
you.
we can.
Okay. Well, thank you. Good morning to all of you, Commissioner Hall, Miller, and Jacobson. It's a pleasure to address you today, although it's via Zoom. We had hoped to be there in person to celebrate Commissioner Jacobson's tenure, but safety first kept us in the Valley. My name is Meg Reed. I'm the Coastal Policy Specialist at the Oregon Coastal Management Program and the Department of Land Conservation and Development. On behalf of Director Brenda Bateman, our program and agency, we wanted to commend and thank Commissioner Jacobson for her years of leadership and service for Lincoln County, the Lincoln County community, and for actively serving on the Land Conservation and Development Commission, or LCDC, through the COVID-19 pandemic and the Echo Mountain Fire. While on the Land Conservation and Development Commission, Commissioner Jacobson held a leadership role as liaison to the Ocean Policy Advisory Council, the legislatively mandated marine policy advisory body. OPAC provides, among other statutory charges, advice to the governor, state agencies, and local governments on ocean policy and resource management matters. During this time, OPAC and LCDC led active public processes to update key elements of the state's territorial sea plan. Commissioner Jacobson also served as the LCDC liaison to the local official advisory committee, along other city and county elected leaders from around the state. Since I have a few moments, I'd like to read a few sample sentiments from a card that goes with the traditional 8th generation blanket we are working to get to Commissioner Jacobson before February 14th. It's a fitting that day is both Oregon's birthday and Valentine's Day. From Ocean Coastal Management Program Manager Lisa Phipps, Commissioner Jacobson, thank you all for all you have done for our coastal communities and DLCD. Your support of our work in the Oregon Coastal Management Program and at the agency has been critical in our success these last few years. Best of luck on your next adventures. From Marine Affairs Specialist Andy Lanier, Katie, thank you so much for all you've done to help the state responsibly manage our ocean. You've been a real champion for the coastal communities that depend on it for their livelihoods. And from South Coast Regional Representative Huey Radomski, Commissioner Jacobson, thank you so much for all the time you have given to Lincoln County. All the best. And that's just a sample. Again, we will work to get the card with many more best wishes and sentiments in the blanket to Commissioner Jacobson before the end of her formal tenure. Thank you so much for the time to share our appreciation today.
Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, thank you, Meg.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I was on DLCD for several years during the pandemic, which many people not know. Not really a land use junkie. Anna maybe rubbed off on me on that one, but it was a pleasure to serve. Thank you, Meg.
Okay.
Chair, would you
Mr.
like
Lip.
to check next on public comment online since we did?
Yes, please.
Anyone who is on the Zoom, if you'd like to make public comment, would you please use the raise hand function? Doesn't appear so.
Okay, let's look at folks who are signed up in the room. Good morning.
Morning, Samantha.
Thank you all for letting me have a public comment this morning. My name is Samantha Buckley, and I'm here today as a citizen of Lincoln County. There were a few things on the agenda today that caught me by surprise that I wanted to come express my opinions on. I tend to think that I'm pretty engaged, and I think that many of our citizens are. 75% of this county voted. We are a civically minded community. And I think that if some of these things had been put out a little sooner, maybe we would have more people here publicly commenting on them. But they seem to be put on the agenda kind of last minute, and I only heard about them through the grapevine. And those are some of these orders that you guys, that the board passed, and with some edits, appointing Claire Hall to committees, advisory bodies, and other duties, and appointing Claire Hall as liaison commissioner for appointed directors and other duties. I find it really interesting as a person who voted for members of the board that the board is looking to vote for a singular point of contact. I understand that there's a note here that says that other commissioners can be designated, or there's some caveats in here, but the language I find concerning. The current political climate that we're in is a kind of a rough one. I think you're all aware of that. And I think that it's really important for the citizens of this county to know that there's orders like this being put forth that say things like Commissioner Hall will designate person to temporary exercise and perform county administrator's powers. That removes one, potentially two other commissioners from assisting with that decision-making should Administrator Johnson have to leave his duties. And that concerns me, since I would like to vote for a board of people. And I have some questions and some concerns about why we have a board if we are going to put the power to make some of these decisions in a single person. I will put a caveat. I am not a legal person, so I'm reading this as quickly as I could this morning when I found it, and trying my best to understand. But I think that other citizens would also be frustrated with this, and I really wish that this had been put out for other public comment before the board made a vote on it. And I just really wanted at least one Lincoln County citizen to come up here and make a statement that this concerns me. We elected a board, the county elects a board. We want a board to have a say. And I know that we put a time limit on it, and I know that we've put all these caveats, but I gotta be frank, we're not really in the political climate for caveats being trustworthy anymore. We've got to be careful if we're going to go down this road. And as a citizen, I don't want to go down this road. I want to vote for a board, and I want the board to have a say. So I thank you so much for letting me make public comment. I have more that I could say, but I'm worried that I'm stuttering or repeating myself, and I don't really want to do that forever. And I thank you for your time. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Who's
Samantha.
next on the list, Mr. Lip? Oh,
Is there anybody who didn't sign up that would like to make public comment?
this is your opportunity. Okay, Mr. Wallace, please introduce yourself for the record.
My name's Warren Wallace, here as a citizen of Lincoln County. First off, I'd like to thank Casey Miller for, bringing some of these issues that were just talked about, open up to the public. More importantly, especially with, section 2 that was just talked about, where Commissioner Hall is trying to be appointed as the commissioner that is going to be has the powers to answer to all union grievances. To me, it almost felt like it was almost an admission by the board that when Claire Hall represented the board for a grievance that occurred back in November, that they violated that, and that there are grievances that are pending. Like I said, I'm here.
This is confidential information that you are privy to as a county employee. You're sharing it publicly and it's not appropriate.
Like I said, just as a citizen that is being, things that are being occurred. And also I'd like to thank you, Claire Hall, for, inviting all members of the community and employees to come to these meetings and to engage with the board, to point out that some of these that there are bigger issues here and that hopefully that they get resolved publicly and not behind closed doors with one person or two.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
your
you, Norm.
input. And I believe that brings us then to the conclusion of our agenda.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
actually,
Commissioner Miller.
no, I just wanted, please, Friday, I'd made a request for executive session to discuss employee discipline. I have that request in writing to you here.
So any employee
Both
discipline matters are
commissioners?
confidential and that's not appropriate to bring up in a.
Well, I
a
have
public
to
meeting.
initiate an executive session. I'm not talking about anything other than to say executive session as per public records and meeting laws.
We have a
B.
process in place. for that.
Okay. Well, please tell me what the process is.
Commissioner Miller, could you pass me what you've turned out? Thank you.
Please advise, Council Yule.
I don't have the document.
Oh, sure. So again, I am requesting that the public body meet in executive session to discuss employee matters. That's it. There's no details.
So there are specific rules under executive session for matters that you can meet. This does not meet that criteria. And we have a process in place.
And please
But you can
explain.
make a request to staff, which is county council and county administration, and request an executive
Council
session.
Yule, I have made a request. And so you're saying
So this
you're
memo-
denying me, a county
This memo
commissioner,
does not
a
meet legal,
request?
so this memo does not meet legal criteria
What
under
would be the
law
legal
for
criteria?
an executive session.
Okay, tell us what the legal criteria is, please, so I can do it correctly to bring my governing body together to discuss important matters.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you. So this is the first
Just
time I've
asking
gotten
that
this.
okay. I-
My turn. Okay.
Yes.
This is the first time I'm getting this in writing, so I don't feel like I'm in any place to like make a decision or do anything on this since it's just been handed to me. So that's all I was gonna say. I don't know if you were thinking we're having executive session right now.
No.
Mr. Miller, this is a request for one at a later time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, slightly a quick put together, but it captures most of it. So on Friday, I requested to staff that we meet in executive session. Nobody responded to me. So now here in this public meeting, I am making a request to my fellow commissioners for executive session. I really don't know any other way
Yeah.
that I get your attention.
I receive your request. I'm not saying I'm agreeing, but I
Okay.
hear you. I hear
Yeah.
your request. I hear your request.
I have a question for county council.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going from memory here, but the public meetings law and executive sessions aren't the grounds for discussing employee matters in executive session pretty narrow, basically
Specific.
discipline, termination, those kinds of things.
So there's
Disciplinary action, not general personnel.
policy. No,
Yeah.
that's not appropriate for executive session.
Okay, so any possibility we can even have an executive session to discuss executive session?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble grasping exactly what the goal of this
I think
session would
so,
be.
because I just would like us to get together in an environment that is confidential to discuss confidential things.
Yeah, and again, I'll point out that every time we have an executive session, statute requires us to list the topics of discussion and to cite the specific ORS provisions of what is or is not allowed.
I appreciate that, and I would greatly appreciate legal guidance on that.
I never received the request last week, so if you would like to forward to me, I can look at it and then provide you that legal guidance.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, the process, just so we're correct, that I know to do this, okay, is send it to county administrator and the BOC with the understanding that Kenneth Lip recognizes that this isn't for general public awareness, right? Because it's an executive session and it's a sensitive matter, and that be queued and distributed for you. Fellow commissioner wants to get together and talk to us. He thinks it's that important. He has to be careful of saying what it is, right? So
Chair.
it's a very simple premise.
Council Yule.
So the request, when it's made, it should be also made just to administration and council. We will review it. If it meets statutory requirements that we can have an executive session, we can schedule one.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And I will send the previous requests as well to you. And I would absolutely appreciate some clarity.
Okay.
Okay.
Next meetings of this board, next Wednesday morning, February 12th, Commissioner Miller and I will be holding a work session to interview the candidates we have jointly selected for Commissioner Jacobson's seat. The week after that, February 19th, 10 a.m., our usual Board of Commissioners meeting in this room and online. And then future dates, if you want to mark your calendar, we'll be meeting Wednesday, March 5th, Wednesday, March 19th, and Wednesday, April 2nd. So pretty much staying to that every other week schedule, although given some of the transitional stuff I can see that's going on, I can see we may need to call a special meeting in between these. Be nimble enough to do that. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone in the audience. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you all as well. We're adjourned.